Hello everyone, my name is Aaron and welcome to my introduction/tutorial of my new trading card game that I created called Tomeguard. Here's what the backs look like, and there's the title, the logo. I decided to not do a frame, just personal preference. I think it looks better personally that way. And I'll show you some of the cards. They'll be in sleeves. So we've got, I ordered a couple booster packs of these from thegamecrafter.com, which is what I'm using to make this. It's already published, but I'm putting out a tutorial video just so people know some of the basic rules and gameplay before they buy. Alright, so first off, we have Nimbus Archer. It's a summon, so summons are basically the same thing as creatures in Magic the Gathering or monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! You'll use these to attack the opponent, or they're summons that they control. You got Tranquil Unicorn. Same attributes. So the attributes in this game, kind of similar to Yu-Gi-Oh's attributes. They don't really serve much of a purpose, other than there's some card abilities that work with certain attributes. White is holy. Green, it's kind of more like an aquamarine. Green is nature, composed of earth, water, and air, not fire. No. In this game's universe, fire is considered to be its own thing, not a part of the main four, or in this case 3. So I gave it its own attribute, and we'll get into that here in a second. You got the summons cost. All cards will have a mana cost. You got to pay this to be able to put it onto the field. We got strength, is how much damage it will do when it attacks. And you got endurance, which is basically its own life amount. For example, Tranquil Unicorn, once it takes 8 damage, it dies and is sent to the graveyard or the discard pile. In this game, it's the graveyard. And it's got an enter ability, so when it enters the field, it kind of makes neighboring summons a bit stronger. I'll get into that in a bit. We got cantrips. So these attributes are Infernal and Chaos cantrips. They're like sorceries in Magic the Gathering, or just like spell cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! Another one, Chain Lightning. This one's only nature. Another cantrip. Common. Fire Elemental. Healing Potion. Now these are relics. They're similar to artifacts in Magic the Gathering. They have their own little icon up here to kind of distinguish them from the other cards. It's not technically an attribute, but I just figured I'd give it something to kind of help it stand out a bit more, other than the gray frame. These can have various uses. Just depends on what you're going for when building your deck. Colossal Talos. Okay, purple is Arcane. Basically, Arcane is everything that the others aren't. This one's a really strong one. Colossal Talos, rare. Very strong physically and with its ability. Pretty strong. Really good rare. Diseased Ravens. Mana Absorption. That's a fun little cantrip. Infernal Pact. Hexes. Okay, so hexes. Hexes are like enchantments in Magic the Gathering. Again, they like with relics, it just depends on what your play style is and what you're going for strategy. But these can have various uses. Got Benevolent Priest. He likes to buff neighboring summons. Ossuary Ghoul. Angel of Death. That's a really good rare. Pyromancer. Brewing Cauldron. Meditation. Writing Pirate. Alright, now that I've kind of explained the card types, I'll kind of get into the tutorial part. Oh, and before I forget, some cards can call tokens to the field. This is a summon token, can be used as any summon token. Every booster pack will come with one of these. Alright, so how a game works. You have a deck of 40 cards minimum. As of yet, I don't believe I'll be setting a maximum. Just as long as you can shuffle your deck, or tome. In this game it's called a tome. As long as you can shuffle your tome without assistance, you should be fine. But 40 is the minimum. You can have, by default, up to 4 copies of any card in your deck. Alright, so for the field of play, your tome is going to go right over here, off to the side. I set mine sideways, which is why I made the card backs sideways. More often than not, I see people set theirs like that. So we've got the graveyard down here, discarded cards, they'll go right there. At the beginning of the game, you do something to decide who goes first. So like roll a die or something, or a coin flip. You both draw 5 cards, and then the game starts. So on your turn, these are the steps that you would take. To start, you would first draw a card from your tome, and then you would generate 2 mana. So you could use like a die, just any die really. Generate 2 mana. You can really just put this wherever. We'll put it like right here. And then after that, you would proceed to the main phase, which is where most of the game's going to happen. The player that goes first, they don't draw their first card. Now we move on to the main phase. So during the main phase, you can cast summons, cantrips, hexes, relics, as long as you pay their mana costs. You can activate abilities on cards you control on the field. You can do any of these steps in any order during the main phase. Again, just do what fits your play style, do what fits your strategy. You can use summons you control to attack the opponent or enemy summons they control. So we're on our main phase. Let's see, we have Nimbus Archer that costs 2. Angel of Death costs 5, we definitely won't be able to play that. Chain Lightning costs 3, Shape Reality costs 6, Apocalypse costs 4, Tranquil Unicorn costs 2. We only have 2 mana right now, so these are the only 2 that we'd be able to cast immediately. Tranquil Unicorn is not a good idea to cast unless you already control another summon. So we'll go ahead and cast Nimbus Archer just to get something on the field. So we'll pay our 2 mana and we'll cast Nimbus Archer. Now, to cast summons in this game, similar to Yu-Gi-Oh, you have to have, I'm going to use these to indicate the summon slots. So, in this game, there's summon slots. Similar to the monster slots in Yu-Gi-Oh. You have to have an open slot in order to cast a summon. So, we pay our 2 mana that we had over here to cast Nimbus Archer. And you can choose any slot you want. So choose wisely, depending on your strategy. So we'll just put Nimbus Archer right here in the middle slot. Now when you cast a summon, it cannot attack on the turn that it came into play, unless it has an ability that says otherwise. Your default maximum hand size is 5 cards. Alright, so we can't do anything else on this turn, so we'll go to the end step and pass the turn. And so when you pass, your opponent plays some stuff. Okay, so we'll put a fake opponent's deck over here. Draw a fake hand for them. Ooh, that's a good hand. The person that goes second, they would draw on their first draw step. And then for the mana step, they generate 3 mana instead of 2. But only for this step. Only for this first step. Just to kind of give them, since they have the disadvantage of going second, just to kind of give them a little boost. Alright, so to show you battling, we'll go ahead and pay 1 mana of the opponent's mana. And we'll put Diseased Raven, which only costs 1. When it enters the field or dies, the opponent discards a card. To defend their life points, they'll put it in the opposing slot. Summons cannot attack the opponent directly if it has an opposing enemy summon across from it. But it can choose to attack any other enemy summons on the field, just not the opponent directly. So Nimbus Archer, you would have to remove Diseased Raven from in front of Nimbus Archer in order to attack directly. Also, summons can only attack once each per turn. Alright, so the opponent will just pass to me. So I'll draw my card, generate 2 mana. Alright, so for cantrips, you would pay its mana cost, cast it, activate and resolve its ability, and then just discard it. Alright, so kind of modified my handle here a little bit to kind of demonstrate some more things. So for hexes, you pay the cost, and then you would place it onto the field beneath your summons. There's no limit to how many hexes or relics you have on the field. Summons are the only cards with that limit. There are some hexes that you would attach to a summon. Some hexes, like this one, Infernal Pact, when they enter the field, they hex a summon instead of the field itself. So you would attach it to a summon you control. Now, if a summon were to leave the field while it has a hex on it, the hex will go with it. Now with relics, they're similar to hexes in which they stay on the field, typically. So like with Crystal Ball here, you'd pay its cost of 1 mana, and then you just put it right onto your field. And then during your main phases, you can choose to use its ability if you would like. There are some relics, like Kite Shield here, that instead of just going straight to the field, you would equip it to a summon you control for a little bit of extra protection. Pay its cost, take it, and attach it to a summon you control. Unlike in Magic the Gathering, where the artifact would just drop, the creature would just drop the artifacts. In this game, the relic goes to the graveyard also. Another important thing, you start the game with 20 life. So you could just use like a spin down die or just whatever, notepad, it's up to you. When a player reaches 0 life, they lose. If a player would draw a card, but they have no cards in their tome, they lose the game. Summons cannot move from their slots unless an ability allows them to. Alright, so just to recap, at the start of the game, you shuffle your tome, draw 5 cards, and then you start the game. At the start of your turn, you draw a card from your tome during the draw step, and then you generate 2 mana during the mana step, and then you move on to the main phase. You can cast summons, hexes, relics, cantrips by paying their mana costs. Summons go in summon slots. Hexes will be played to the field below the summon slots. Relics will also be played to the field depending on what the ability reads. So like Crystal Ball, go down here. During the main phase, you can attack the opponent directly if you have any summons that are unopposed. If they are opposed, then you cannot attack directly, but you can attack any summons that the opponent controls. Only 1 attack per summon per turn. And during the main phase, you can activate any abilities on relics or hexes or summons you control in any order, however you choose. After you've performed any of those actions in any order, you would pass to the end step and end the turn. Well, that's pretty much it. This is Tomeguard. I hope this was helpful in learning the game. I'll include a link to my GameCrafter store down in the description below, where you can buy booster packs if you're interested. Just to kind of give you an idea of what they look like, here's what the wrapper looks like. This is wrong. I changed that recently. This is an older pack that I bought. And you got the title, Tomeguard, and then the first set's title, The Broken Seal. And here you got 3 of the secret rare cards in the game. There are 5 total. Okay, so with rarities, there's commons, rares, and secret rares. These are 3 of 5 secret rares. They're really hard to pull. They should be really hard to pull. Nothing on the back, but this turned out really well. All the cards turned out really well. Very bright and vivid. I do seriously recommend the GameCrafter if you're wanting to make your own trading card game, or just board game, or any kind of card, or any kind of game really. I do plan on putting out a couple starter decks for the first set. I'm currently working on those. I'll announce them once they're ready to be published. But yeah, leave a like, subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and there will definitely be more later down the road. Thank you for watching.